After a long time of preparation and fixing Thula, as well as managing all the paper stuff, we finally said goodbye to all our loved friends and set sail, leaving the Baltic Sea through Kiel Canal.
The Kiel Canal, combining the Baltic Sea with the North Sea, is a 95-kilometer long waterway in Schleswig-Holstein. It is one of the most frequently used artificial waterways for ships worldwide. In the year 2018, around 30,000 ships passed through it. The canal was formerly known as the Kaiser Wilhelm Canal, since it was officially opened by Kaiser Wilhelm II in 1895. Between 1907 and 1914 it was made wider due to increasing traffic and the demand of the German Navy. This meant that bigger-sized battleships could travel from Holtenau in the Baltic Sea to Brunsbüttel in the North Sea without having to go around Denmark. Around 250 nautical miles can be saved going through it. It's about 460 kilometers. By the way, all ferries that cross the canal are free of charge. We crossed the canal in 2 days, side by side with the huge cargo ships passing by.
When arriving at the gate to the North Sea, we were both very excited, not knowing how high the ship would move up in the lock with the many other yachts accompanying us. But it all went very smoothly and slowly. When the gate opened, we used the high tide and its current to go to Cuxhaven. You never really have to deal with tide calculations in the Baltic Sea, so the tides were something we needed to get used to again. We had been sailing with our old boat in the northern Frisian Islands some years ago and knew exactly how tricky the North Sea and its tides could be.
Good morning. We're starting today from Cuxhaven to go to Wangerooge, and as you can see the weather is perfect. Rainy day, really cold, mid of July, that's Germany. Well, let's see how the trip will go today. We hope for some wind. It doesn't look like so much, but maybe there will be some wind later on.
It didn't look like it at first, but luckily we were able to do some nice sailing to Wangerooge. Unfortunately, the wind decided to take a break just 10 miles before the harbor, so we had to put the motor on. When we arrived at the fairway to the harbor, it was much more tricky than we had thought. Wangerooge and its neighbor island Spiekeroog are separated by a tidal inlet, the so-called Hahle. The Hahle is a very tricky passage because regularly at low tide, the water is hip deep there, around 60 centimeters. And Thula's keel measures about 1,60 meters. So the Hahle should be crossed exactly during the time when the current is with you and just before the highest point during high tide. This can be especially important when there are waves, which make the ship dive into the wave and go further down as usual. In case you run aground, this would give you the chance for the water level to rise for a few centimeters again to get back into decent and safe water depths.
Ilya, why are you so excited?
Because we are now in the fairway to Wangerooge Harbor, and actually none of our plotters showing the correct fairway. So you see, we have to be more or less near the buoy H6, and as you can see, there's no buoy here. So I think they moved them maybe today, not today, but this year at the beginning of the season, and we have not the newest version on our plotter. So we keep to the fairway, and then we will see what happens. But the chart shows here normally 60 centimeters and 3 meters of water on a high tide, and we have now about 5 meters at all under keel, so we're good.
Some of you might have already noticed that Wangerooge, the easternmost of the 7 inhabited East Frisian Islands, looks like a seahorse from above. The name Wangerooge is composed of the old German word Wanger for meadow and the Frisian word Oog for island. In the year 2018, around 1,260 people lived there permanently. And not only people, but also very many special birds living in and off the Wadden Sea. Since 1969, the new lighthouse, having a light range of 56 kilometers, directs ships passing by. The so-called West Tower is used as a youth hostel today. It is the most famous landmark of the island that can be seen from far away coming from sea. is totally car-free, therefore the guests are brought here from the German mainland port Hadesil, which is only 7 kilometers away. Travel times depend on the tide, because only at high tide the ferries have enough water to enter the harbor, so the ferry arrives at different times every day. The island train regularly carries the passengers and the freight of the ferry from the harbor to the centrally located village railway station. Since the front and the back parts of the train segments were always open air, the special landscape just passed by in front of our eyes. It felt a little bit like taking part in a western, just on the East Frisian Islands spotting not saloons and cowboys, but for example a sailboat that had fallen dry during low tide, also a lonely stranger in a somewhat harsh landscape. The island has a very relaxed atmosphere. Already at the harbor we found a sign that can be found at different places on the island which says, "God created time, but he never mentioned haste." The perfect spot for inhaling nature and enjoying island time.
This was our first ever made video. The plan is to create new videos every 1 to 2 weeks. Thank you for watching.
So if you enjoyed our first video, then please sign up on our YouTube channel and become part of our Patreon crew. We wish you a nice first week, and hope to see you next week. Bye bye.
See you. Bye bye.